Coverage of tonight's game on the Indian Hill Television Network is a presentation of the Indian Hill High School Video Department.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Indian Hill Gymnasium for tonight's exciting contest between the Madeira Mustangs and the Indian Hill Braves. I'm Tony Harris, here with my old partner, Brian Shaw. He used to be Colin Shaw's father, but now that Colin's graduated and playing in college, he's Brian Shaw.
Thank goodness, Tony. Thank goodness.
And we should have an exciting game tonight. Braves and Mustangs have had great rivalries over the years, a lot of really close games and exciting contests, and we'll extemporate on that a little bit later as the game goes on. But the last game at Madeira about a month ago, Indian Hill emerged victorious by 2 points, and we expect another close game tonight.
Yeah, Tony, in that game at Madeira, the Braves needed 5 of 8 shooting from three-point line from a freshman and a sophomore to escape with a 3-point win. So it gives you some indication as to how tight this could be.
And it was ironic, those kids don't normally play, and their big brothers were out of the game. Jalen Thornton with a visit to his school next year, West Virginia, and Trey Lopez being injured, and their little brothers came in out big, scored 15 points that were very unexpected and turned the tide for Indian Hill.
Yeah, every time these two teams meet, it really doesn't matter where people are as far as the point in the season, the talent level, whatever the case may be. Great rivalry, neighborhood teams. And Tony, speaking of which, it's great to have you back in the gym. You know, there are two things that Indian Hill and Madeira share. One of them is the fire department. The other one is Tony Harris, and in both cases, you hate to see him. It means it's an absolute emergency. Glad to have you back here in the gym.
Well, we also share a Kroger and a Walgreens and a CVS. So there are a lot of things they share.
That's not bad. One of the things these two teams share, if you look at them from an offensive standpoint, in league games, both of them averaging just over 49 points a game. So possibility that we're going to see a low-scoring affair here.
Well, James Lytle with the tip for Madeira and to Eric Heffel, and we're underway. Madeira starts 4 seniors and a junior. And the Braves have a sophomore starting and, a junior and 3 seniors.
Yeah, Nong and Heffel really spread the floor on you. Good three-point shooters, as is Solinsky. So make you really guard the whole floor.
And Sam Solinsky with a miss there. The Braves bring it up with bouncing Benny Bader.
Jalen Thornton is such a good teammate. You know, if he wanted that ball, Tony, I'm pretty sure he could have had it.
Jalen Thornton can have whatever he wants. Look at the size of him. That's Stephen Nong with the steal and brings it up court. That's Eric Heffel. That's James Lytle, the senior. And there's Stephen Nong. And he's fouled by Johnny Baltimore.
Yeah, Nong on the air, it's kind of interesting. You look at the difference between him at the three-point line and then when he actually gets a little bit closer at the foul line. And
he asked the referee, he's not a very good free throw shooter, he's an incredible three-point shooter. He asked the ref if he could stand behind the top of the key, and the ref said no for free throws. And there he misses another one. Part of the problem is that he shoots it from his fingertips from the threes, but from the free throw line, he's got to deepen his palm. And I think the friction coming off of his fingers is what's really hurting him here.
Yeah, to give you an idea, 47.8% from the three and just 55.9% from the line.
Yeah, but he makes 1 out of 2, and the Braves now have the ball. Ben Bader and Trey Lopez in the backcourt for the Braves. There's Jalen Thornton, Wyatt Walks, and he misses on his three, but Bader with the rebound.
Yeah, one thing for Indian Hill, a lot of perimeter shots from this team as well.
There's Johnny Baltima, and he's off. And Solinsky with the ball and knocked away by Trey Lopez.
Yeah, Trey Lopez, Tuesday night here, Indian Hill hosted West Claremont, got a good win against a really big and really physical West Claremont team, a 6'10 post player that's got a couple of MAC offers. Trey Lopez with a tremendous night on Tuesday night for the Braves, coming back off an ankle injury, and he looks like he's back.
It's Cameron Finke, the point guard, into James Lytle. Tries to put on the ground and knocked around, and we have they calling a foul or a jump ball or what?
Yeah, James Lytle, a tremendous athlete.
They call a foul on James Lytle.
Yeah, had a chance to scout Deer Park with that Madeira Deer Park game. Loved James Lytle and his aggressiveness.
He's improved immeasurably this year. He brought the ball up in that game against pressure, and he's a very, very nice player. He's really continued to improve every year.
Yeah, a team with several good players. I thought he was the best that night on the floor for Madeira. Nong had a great shooting night that night.
Ben Bader. That's a three. There he is.
Yeah, the senior, Ben Bader plays a lot of basketball, and it's been an interesting career. Started his career as a freshman at Moeller, transferred back to Indian Hill as a sophomore, and he's a gym rat, Tony.
He had a great game against Madeira his sophomore year. Eric Huffle.
Huffle's so crafty around the basket.
Marco Fiore couldn't play at Madeira Bader's sophomore year, and he had a phenomenal game against Madeira. Stephen Nong with the rebound. Finke, and that's slinging Sam Solinsky. Eric Heffel. He's a big guy, and boy, but he can shoot from three. And usually big guys with that kind of size really have trouble shooting from three, but he's much more comfortable there than there's James Lotto with a steal.
Yeah, you look at his hands, you look at his feet. He's a different type of athlete. He really is. But both he and Nong really make you figure out who is it that you're guarding. Your matchups have to be on point, and you really have to have the hands up all the time.
And Cameron Finke gets knocked away by Wyatt Walks, and it's Madeira ball.
It's okay to have the hands up. I mean, you don't want to have the hips up too high, but you don't have the risk that they're going to necessarily blow by you all the time.
Well, they don't look like prototypical basketball players. They're not long and lean like Baltimore, but they're good athletes.
Yeah. The thing I love about it, too, is they're both guys that aren't in a hurry. Kind of like Wyatt Walks for Indian Hill, guys that play with good pace.
Solinsky to Heffel. Cameron Finke with a nice pass to Solinsky, and he gets fouled by Trey Lopez.
Yeah, nice job. Good cut, good recognition.
Solinsky's a matchup problem. He's a good outside shooter, but he's 6'3", 200, which is bigger than almost any guard in this league except for Mark Wise. And he can take guys inside and capitalize on that as well. And Heffel's going to take a break, and Gray Palmer and then Lee Migas is going to come in for the shooter. I call Migas and Palmer the juice boys because they put the squeeze on people. They're really good defensive players. So Solinsky and Heffel are out, and Gray Palmer and Lee Migas are in.
Yeah, halfway through this first period, Indian Hill yet to make a substitution.
And Bader gets fouled by Cameron Finke.
Yeah, the bench a little bit thin for Indian Hill. Maury Whitehead unavailable tonight. So Braves not with as many options as they might ordinarily have.
Baltimore with a nice rebound. And a stick back. Nice job, Johnny Baltimore.
Yeah, Johnny Baltimore's Next stop will be Wheaton College. Wheaton almost upset Augustana earlier this week. Johnny Baltimore showing you the part of his game that the Braves absolutely have to be successful in the CHL.
Johnny's got to play both inside and outside. He's a terrific three-point shooter, but
great active hands by Lopez, and now gets him with numbers.
And Baltimore with a jump shot.
Yeah, Johnny's showing you he can do it in different places. But how about Trey Lopez?
That was set up. He got blew by 4 guys.
Yeah. Colton Brewer is going to check in at the next stop for the Braves. Be their first substitution here. Under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Cameron Finke with a miss, but Gray Palmer with the rebound.
Yeah, Finke with a nice job, not rushing that drive. Very much under control.
Palmer gives it to Nong, who's fouled.
Tony, just what you talked about, the athleticism of these two bigs. He's taking the ball to the basket against Indian Hill's point guard. And a good defender in Ben Bader. Speaking of Ben Bader, I'd like to say hello to the grandparents down in West Palm Beach.
Stephen Nong with his first, and some substitutions here for Madeira. Coming in for the first game is Grant Bright for the first time today, number 4, the blonde bomber. And say hi to his parents, Dan and Annette Bright down in Florida.
Brian Lewis in for Indian Hill, the senior. His sophomore brother, Kevin, played earlier, and we talked about the history of Madeira and Indian Hill, and Brad Lewis with the 2 big shots a couple of years ago to lift the Braves to victory. So I say if Lewis is a Madeira killer like his older brother. Colton Brewer's given the Braves really good minutes this year. Been very efficient.
Ben Bader. I think he's a Madeira killer.
Yeah, Ben Bader coming out hot from 3 points.
Solinsky mishandles the ball, and you can't do that around Lopez.
Trey, one of the few Indian Hill defenders over the past several years that is going to really make an effort to steal the basketball. It's not about being solid with Trey Lopez. It's all about possessions. And, really, if you're Sam Solinsky, it'd be a good idea to give the ball up and get it back.
Absolutely. Lopez has the quickest hands in the league. Johnny Baltimore. And it rims out. And there's a foul on Mr. Lewis.
Ball's coming out of Johnny Baltimore's hand very well. He's got a couple of buckets already, and that was a good shot. It's good news for the Braves. He's going to check out. Jalen Thornton's going to check back in. Braves right now with an interesting lineup. Lewis, Colton Brewer, Ben Bader, Jalen Thornton, and Trey Lopez.
Finke back out to Heffel. Short.
Yeah, Braves get away with one right there. Tough guy to leave.
He was pretty deep beyond the three-point line there, but
interesting to see where the Braves get their offense with this lineup right now. Minute left here in the quarter.
Great pass. Bader to Jalen Thornton. I think they're going to hold for one here, and they will in a couple seconds if they don't get a good shot off.
Yeah, sure wasn't by design. They had an opportunity with Bader drawing help, and nice pass to Thornton. Couldn't capitalize. Tony, about what we expected here in this first quarter.
Yeah. Well, we're 10-10.
10-10 game. Coach Rockwell asking his players to go out and get the ball out of the hands of Ben Bader.
He's the leading scorer in the game right now. Great pass. Thornton can't finish. Heffel with the ball. Stephen Nong. And he misses. We got a lot of bodies on the floor, too. Everybody going all out. We got a 10-10 game here at the end of the quarter, and that's the kind of the pace we expected. The Braves have Ben Bader with 6 points, and he leads the team, and he leads the entire game right now in scoring with 6. And then Johnny Baltima has 4. Those are the Braves' 10 points.
Yeah, we mentioned the Braves a little short on the bench tonight, but in the CHL, it's not usually that big of a problem given the fact that a lot of teams don't play a lot of people. If you're not playing Deer Park and the pace isn't such, but it could also be a lot of fatigue setting in when you're playing that half-court, sit down in a stance for as long as these guys do in this half-court game they play.
Deer Park and Wyoming predominantly play 5 guys, and they're the 2 top teams in the league.
Yeah, interestingly, you think about the teams in the league, the amount of points that they're putting up. Wyoming and Deer Park both over 60 points in league play, the only 2 teams that are that way. Reading in the middle of the pack at 55 points, everybody else in the 40s.
Mateo Lopez is in the game now for the Braves. Trey Lopez's little brother had a great JV game and was a Madeira killer the first game this year.
Yeah, Mateo Lopez right now a tremendous offensive player.
Baltimore off, and there's Wyatt Walks with a rebound, and he stepped out.
Yeah, Mateo with a good shooting night the other night against West Claremont. Gave the Braves a few buckets they desperately needed to get some distance. A couple of possessions here consecutively where the shot was kind of a force a little bit, not necessary.
Yeah.
Indian Hill had one. Madeira had one right there. See if they can get back into things and maybe get an assist.
Ben Bader, another one. He's got 3 threes. That's a nice start.
Trey Lopez at the scorer's table. Wow.
And
how about Stephen Nong?
Oh, they call him for travel. Wow.
You know, that may be, but nonetheless, I tell you what, I am very impressed with his ability to put the ball on the floor against a much smaller player.
He has developed so much as a player from junior to senior year. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but he's a whole different guy than you saw last year as a junior. Well, there's Trey Lopez. They just brought him in for Ben Bader, and he continues what Ben Bader was doing.
Yeah, Trey Lopez, good job facing the basket, reading the defense. If they're not going to put a hand up and contest, Lopez willing to take the shot. Little bit different situation here with Trey Lopez guarding Stephen Nung.
James Lytle.
Yeah, James Lytle, very strong, very explosive off the floor.
He tunnels in there. Get it? Lytle tunnel.
I like that, Tony. Nothing like a little Lytle humor.
And he parks himself in the paint and grabs a rebound or a steal. There's Cameron Finke, the point guard. Slam Solinsky.
Yeah, I mentioned Mateo's offense right now, and that really is his calling card. Getting better defensively.
Well,
Solinsky with a nice take.
I say he's a tough matchup because he's so big and strong and he's a guard.
Yep. Yeah, to help a little bit late there for Indian Hill.
Wyatt walks. We're getting an awful lot of threes tonight.
Yeah, Wyatt Walks, a sophomore. One of the guys we talk about with the future of that program, with the freshman players and the sophomore players, really offensively, probably at the head of that class.
Solinsky in and again, out again, and Wyatt walks with a rebound. Stephen Nong with a steal. He's not going to body up Jalen Thornton. Whoa. Well, Merry Christmas, Stephen.
Yeah, underestimate Stephen Nong at your own risk, whether it's guarding him on the perimeter or trying to go by him in transition out in open space.
Stephen Nong, last year, 81% of the shots he took were threes. 81%. That's outrageous. He didn't do much else. He was a one-trick pony. This year, he handles the ball. Well, first of all, he lost 15 to 20 pounds in the offseason during the summer. He's developed an inside game, and his mother had taken him to the doctor, and they found out that he had an allergy to paint. Well, now he's willing to go in the paint, and he's willing to shoot and bang, and he's a whole different player. He actually moves a little better on defense, and he's really made himself into an all-league player, in my belief. He's really done a nice job. He can still shoot the three, but he does a lot of other things. He's so much more versatile now, and you've got to keep a body on him.
Tony, I don't know what I like better, the Lytle tunnel or the paint allergy.
Trey Lopez, just off, and they're going to call a foul on James Lytle, which will be his second.
Yeah, once again, we talk about the value of getting to the basket and getting the ball up on the rim. Trey Lopez making something good happen for his team by getting to a spot on the floor.
Well, this is a big foul because Lytle's a critical defensive element for Madeira, and he's got to come out, and Grant Bright's going to come in, so they're going to go with a smaller lineup.
Yeah, opportunity right here for Johnny Baltimore. You know, Nong's going to take Thornton.
Well, they got 50 Shades of Gray Palmer now guarding Baltimore. Now Solinsky's being guarded by Baltimore.
Great back cut.
Gray Palmer. By the way, that Gray Palmer is such a hard worker. He's overcome a bunch of injuries, but kid got a 35 on his ACT. He has a 4.4 grade point average. Brian, if you added our grade point averages in high school and our ACTs, we wouldn't have had that. Mateo Lopez.
Yeah, Mateo Lopez on the offensive end of the floor, giving the Braves everything they could want.
Is there a call here?
Looks like we're going to have substitution for the Braves. Josh Young going to come in. Jalen Thornton going to sit.
But why is the clock stopped? Was it made basket? Did they call a foul on somebody?
No.
All right.
Yeah, with Young off the floor, you know, the perimeter game not quite the same for Madeira.
Well, you got Lytle out too, so you have two of your three front court guys, starters are out.
Really, Johnny Baltimore got to stay close to Heffel and have the hands up. Boy, nice job by Heffel. Cutting through the lane, getting the pass, putting it up, and getting it back. Good feet, good hands.
We've talked about what a nice touch he has from the outside, but he's also got great dexterity inside. He does a really, really nice job. Really good hands. Trey Lopez.
Yeah, Trey Lopez with a great shot, but Ben Bader doing a great job, not just to get him the ball, but to get him the ball at a place where that was right in the pocket.
Brian, we don't have the statistics with us, but the Braves have 25 points, and I think 7 of them come from threes. I think I have 21 points on threes.
I'll tell you, Mateo right now really struggling on the defensive end.
Braves really only have one shooter on the floor right now, and that's Heffel.
Nice job.
Eric Heffel.
Heffel with a great pass inside. Surprised it came back out, but
well, he's the guy they have to look for, right? With this lineup, he's the only shooter. The other two are coming in from the scorer's table.
If you're not going to shoot the layup, I'll shoot the 3 ball in the corner.
Trey Lopez.
Yeah, Trey Lopez, just without anybody on the floor, I think that can really contest him and keep him contained.
Well, Coach Rockwell wants to get Solinsky and Nong in, and he's not going to have a chance to right now. He wants them in on offense. I think Coach Rockwell would like somebody to bang the ball off somebody's foot, and so he can get his 2 offensive players in. I think he'd a great Palmer. Oh, we got Josh Young in. We got a Josh Young sighting. That's 20. Well, that's halftime.
Well, Tony, a little more offense in that second quarter. The game got very interesting. A lot of movement. Really impressed on the offensive end with both of these teams. But what we expected with regard to, tight one here, 4-point game as we head to the half. I think for Indian Hill, just a few things defensively I think that could tighten up. I know they only gave up 23 points in the first half, but felt to me like opportunity to do even better as we come into the second half. I think for Madeira, just some matchups. Like to keep guys on the floor that were off the floor quite a bit in the first half. Stephen Nong at the top of the list.
Yeah, well, the Braves had 27 points in the half. The scoring went with Ben Bader with 9, had 3 threes. Trey Lopez with 8. Johnny Baltimore with 4. Wyatt Walks with 3, and Mateo Lopez with 3. So 5 different guys dent the scoring column there for the Braves. The Madeira Mustangs were led by Eric Heffel with 10. And,
Ben Bader, the scoring is such a benefit when Ben Bader can give you 9 points and a half. But, boy, what he did for his teammates. Great looks to Jalen Thornton, a couple of them.
Well,
a great setup for Trey Lopez for a 3. Well, really a well-played game by Ben Bader in the first half.
I'm going back to Ben's first game against Madeira. It was at Madeira. Marco Fiore wasn't able to play. Ben got inserted in and played a phenomenal game for Indian Hill. Madeira won the game, but Ben, it was like his coming out party, and he gained confidence. And this is his last game against Madeira now. Just 3 threes and handling the ball and great defense. Ben's playing terrific.
Yeah, Tony, we talk about a lot of these younger players because I know, this isn't the year, obviously, that Madeira had last year, and it's a different team for Indian Hill this year as well. But, you think about these senior classes, really both sides. We'll talk a little bit about Indian Hill and Johnny Baltimore and Ben Bader, 2 guys that are basketball-only guys, and 2 guys that are about as technically proficient and skilled as you would see in this program, and 2 guys that just have played a tremendous amount of basketball and played it together from the time Johnny Baltimore moved into the district. And program's going to miss them. These aren't guys that are going to walk away with school records or things of that nature, but these are guys that made this program better and great players in their own right and having a terrific senior year. Good leaders. and a great deep class of seniors. It's not just those two, but thinking about Jalen Thornton, about as good a teammate as you can have, and a kid that for playing the limited amount of basketball that he has, really has an understanding and a feel for this game. I mean, he does a really great job. Another one you talk about that might not look like the prototypical basketball player, but really understands how to play, how to use, the talents and the gifts that he has. Well, and another kid that's extremely athletic for his size.
Well, let's go back. Jalen Thornton obviously is an all-state football player and is going to be a terrific player at West Virginia. Last year, the Braves had in the middle Mick Oakes, who it's played basketball. It was a second sport. Mick was a terrific football player and wound up playing. He's at UC right now, and hopefully he'll make some nice contributions there. But the Braves have had great leaders and guys that have willing to play basketball after football season. Again, it's not their primary sport, but they've been major contributors, and they're also great team leaders.
Yeah, some other seniors on this roster: Colton Brewer, Sam Richardson, Brian Lewis. These are guys that are, tremendous program guys that have been here with Coach Birch in this program for 4 years, Coach Lanker, Coach Miller, great guys that really add to the program and going to be missed. But you talk about the last game between these two teams. A lot of seniors over on that Madeira side.
Yeah, well, but, there are, and they've all had to step up. And this is, Madeira last year started 5 seniors. And terrific class. Jack Kravac was a terrific player for years. Kyle Johnson was a great player for him. Wyzorek was a great player. Freddie certainly had a role and did a great job, played great defense and handled the ball. And all those guys were the major players. The guys playing this year were more role players last year. And they've all had to step up. And some of them have been ready, and some of them have been a little slow getting ready. And it's you got some growing pains. An analogy would be, when they're and Indian Hill had it too. I mean, last year you had, Colin Shaw, the all-time leading scorer at Indian Hill, a great leader, just tenacious and refused to allow them to lose. Marco Fiore, just as tenacious and a hard-nosed player. You had Mick Oakes. You had Garrett Innes, who was you had all these leaders, and now you've got guys that have to step up, and they were kind of like house cats a year ago, where they just kind of sit there and get their couple minutes in and make a contribution and feel good about themselves. Well, now they got to be alley cats. Now they got to scratch and fight, and they've got to play significant minutes, and the game's on their shoulders. And again, some guys are ready to step up and do that, and other guys, they'd really rather be house cats. And and some guys are ready at the beginning of the season, and some guys come through at the end of the season. And both the Braves and the Mustangs are waiting for some of these guys to step up and do what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, you look around the league, you can see the teams that are kind of on the rise. I think Indian Hill Madeira is certainly a good group of young players coming up. I know we've talked about it, Marymount, with the sophomore class that they have and the junior.
Cam Lackney, who's a terrific junior, yeah.
Taylor, I know you like them quite a bit. They're young players.
All young. They're all underclassmen. So they, I think if you look at the league next year, I think, Deer Park, I think they're going to, we talked before. Millie Vanilli was on top for a while, and then he fell from grace rather quickly, and I think you're going to see that with Deer Park next year. Yeah. Wyoming has had an Edmonds in the backcourt since the Bush administration. And that's going to end, and that's a lot of leadership and a lot of terrific basketball IQ, and I think they're going to be hurt a little bit. And you've got a lot of teams coming up. The Braves have great young talent. I think Marymount, I love their young talent. They're really, really good, and I was really impressed with Taylor the other night. They're not there yet, but next year they're going to be, I think, a major factor. And, there's, I'm hopeful Madeira is the same way, but there's a lot of good young talent in this league, and I think the top guys are going to fall, and I think the middle of the pack is going to come up, and I think next year is going to be a terrific dogfight. I don't know who would be the favorite. Yeah. You might have a 5-team favorite.
I know largely the audience tonight, Madeira, Indian Hill, parents, families, and all over the country. But, last year I have to say the difficult thing about seeing the strange year that it was with regard to the influx of players in the league and the things that happened, sitting here as an Indian Hill guy that coached a number of the Madeira kids as youth, I really felt like last year, certainly I'm always going to root for my son and his guys first, but I also felt like that Madeira class of 2018, after having Indian Hill and Wyoming split a title and Wyoming win a couple of titles, really felt like that was the year that we were going to see those guys who many of them had played since they were freshmen, some of them sophomores, a very experienced team that had really grown up and gotten great together. They had a great run in the tournament. But, as far as the league is concerned, that was a tremendous group of seniors, and I really enjoyed watching them play quite a bit.
It was a great group. And, Indian Hill, Coach Birch has done a great job. The class that he had, we talked about, that just graduated with Colin Shaw and Mick Oakes and Marco Fiore and Garrett Innes. That group, and again, the year before that with the Eichholz boys and Matteo Fiore and Winston Kane, last year's seniors, at least Colin, they won 78 games in 4 years. That's 19 and a half wins a year. Now, in the history of Indian Hill, they've only had 3 or 4 teams that won more than 19 games in a year. They averaged 19 and a half for the last 4. So we've been kind of spoiled here with great basketball. This year's team is a solid team. They're a good team. They're not going to win 19 games. I hope they do. I hope they make a run through the tournament, and it's great. But we've really been blessed and fortunate. The team has been so competitive for so long, and when you lose your all-time leading scorer, there's going to be a little bit of a fall-off, and the Braves are battling. They're going to have a good year, but there's some youth here, and it's going to be served, and it's going to be a good program for a long time. Cameron Finke bringing the ball up here for Madeira. Sam Solinsky, Stephen Nong, and the Braves have done a great job not letting Nong get off his threes. There's James Lytle and Finke.
Yeah, for the Braves, Ben Bader, Wyatt Wachs, Trey Lopez, Jalen Thornton, and Johnny Baltimore.
You've really got 3 shooters here on Madeira. Whoop. You got Nong, Heffel, and Solinsky are the 3 shooters for Madeira. Lytle knows his limitations, and he's really good around the basket, and he's a distributor. And Finke is, Finke leads the league in assists. He has more assists than anybody in the league, which the other 4 guys in this team know if they work hard to get open, Finke will give them the ball. Very unselfish. Eric Heffel. Well deep.
Braves getting away a couple of times with matchup issues and
Coach Rockwell thought that was a travel and is making his thoughts known to the referee.
Yeah, these coaches, Tony, it's one thing to talk about Tim Birch, the all-time winningest coach at Indian Hill basketball, and also the coach with the highest winning percentage. I know Jim Reynolds just retiring a couple of years ago. Coach Reynolds at Madeira, unparalleled. But Coach Rockwell, well on his way to being another great Madeira coach.
Baltimore, and it's off, and Baltimore gets his own rebound after they knock it out.
So these programs blessed with great coaches, no coincidence.
Wyatt walks, and the Braves get another chance at it. Baltimore with an open shot. 2 Braves down, and looks like they're hurt. Jalen Thornton fell on Trey Lopez, and that's not a good fall for either one of them. Shoot, Thornton looks like he's hurt too.
I think they're both okay, Tony. Sounds like a bowling alley in here.
Well, they're both incredible athletes, and if they see a loose ball, they're both going for it. There's no holdback on either one of them. And we're back to action here.
Yeah, Madeira doing a great job. The first possession here in the second half, 35 seconds made the Braves sit down and defend. Braves are up to the task. You know they're going to be deliberate here.
Selinsky, and he misses, and Jalen Thornton with the rebound.
Great job by Selinsky staying solid, making Lopez give it up as opposed to raising up, giving Lopez an opportunity to get to the basket.
Ben Bader misses a shot. Stephen Nong. So talking about last year, he wouldn't have done that. He would have run out to the three-point line and tried to shoot, and now he's trying to body up against Jalen Thornton, which usually isn't a good idea.
Yeah, Stephen Nong, a hard guard, no question about it. Guy that can beat you off the dribble, a guy that can shoot the basketball.
Great pass by Trey Lopez into Baltimore.
Yeah, nice cut by Baltimore. Good finish against contact.
Now Nong tried to finish that time and didn't work. Here's Wyatt Walks. And he's off Baltimore with the rebound, and it looks like a foul on Lytle, and that'll be his third.
Yeah, Johnny Baltimore doing exactly what this Braves team needs him to do, which is to mix it up. And as a result of that, we're going to get another foul on James Lytle, which is a significant thing for the Indian Hill.
Yeah, Lytle's third foul, so he's their leading rebounder for Madeira, and he's coming out now, and Ray Palmer is taking his place.
Tony, you never know when that extra effort's going to yield something as big as getting one of Madeira's better players off the floor. Johnny Baltimore with a great job right there.
Walks with a nice pass to Trey Lopez, and he nails it.
Talked about it earlier, the sophomore Wyatt Walks, not only the great pace that he plays with, nobody speeds him up, but also a great feel for this game.
Yeah.
Not a particularly big guy, not a particularly athletic guy. A really smart guy and a really skilled guy.
And there he is again. Great pass, and Baltimore with a score, and I think a timeout coming up for Madeira.
Tony, the pace on that is really something I don't think you can even instruct. I mean, the pace on that to put
Just
Johnny Baltimore
slow it down
right
and give
rhythm.
it to wait till Baltimore gets down there. I'm with you. Nice pass. Selinsky make a nice pass into Gray Palmer. Couldn't finish, but he does get fouled.
You know, for as well as Gray Palmer moves without the ball, he puts himself constantly in positions to get buckets. Just got to get a little more confidence around there to finish.
Well, that's the thing with a couple of these guys on Madeira. If Rick Rockwell could visit the Wizard of Oz and give him confidence, I don't think the Lion or the Tin Man did that, but they have a couple guys that are really good players that just don't have the confidence to do what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, Gray Palmer moves around without the ball like a 15-point scorer.
He's like a kangaroo.
Yeah.
He just keeps jumping and jumping. Selinsky gets fouled there by Jalen Thornton.
You know, it's funny with these coaches. You know, Coach Rockwell, obviously a Madeira grad. Coach Birch, talking to him about his decision where to live when he and his wife, Debbie Birch, were raising their kids and wanted to be in Madeira for Madeira schools and that community, and, of course, sent his kids to play for
I
Coach
think
Reynolds.
His kids played for Coach Rockwell in the middle school.
And not just these head coaches. You look at the staff. Of course, Coach Birch with his son, Adam Birch, but Manny Lanker and Brandon Miller. Can't say enough about the job that Brandon Miller does and his connection with these young guys. Brandon Miller, a former player here.
Johnny Baltimore.
Brandon Miller, not only a player here, but also a walk-on and a preferred walk-on at the University of Cincinnati.
And they're calling a foul on Nong. And the pace is getting a little heavy for Madeira. They don't like playing quite this quickly.
Yeah, and a nice job by Ben Bader to force that tempo.
Timeout for Madeira. He wants a full timeout and discuss it. It's Madeira likes to play a little slow, as you said, set the pace, dictate the tempo, and Indian Hill is dictating it right now.
Yeah, and of course on the Madeira side, you'd be able to speak to it better than I, but certainly I see Zepp on the end of the bench. He's a mainstay.
Yeah, he's been there a long time. His kids have gone through Madeira.
Talk about another guy with a high ACT score, just a great student, Zepp's son.
Yes.
Tremendous student.
Jacob, yeah. And then the other guy who's a real critical piece is Dave Wainscott, who's the assistant coach. He works, he teaches over at Marymount, and he coaches here and has done so for a number of years, and is really a major force here behind the Madeira top brass. He's one of the real brains behind the operation and setting up tempo and dictating the game plan.
Now, Tony, I saw that game Madeira played down at Marymount. It's another one of my scouting ventures.
Yeah,
to scout Marymount. But I have to say, whatever he knew with regard to Marymount, he did the admirable thing to keep it to himself.
Marymount played a phenomenal game that night and deserved to win. Now the Braves have Bader back in.
Yeah.
And Ty Thornton.
Colton Brewer on the floor, Ty Thornton. Out there with Johnny Baltima, Trey Lopez. This, not necessarily to waste time, just to spread out and try to shoot a layup, which the Braves did. But, Tony, I honestly think that some of the best offense that the Braves run every year is when they just spread the court and pass and cut.
Well, the first half, they hit at least 7 threes. But without Lytle, now Cameron Finke misses a 3. Without Lytle in there, the middle's more open. They're calling a foul on Eric Heffel.
Yeah, Tony, you talked about pace as we went to the last timeout and how that was favoring Indian Hill. I think Coach Birch thinking along the same lines. If you look at this lineup that's out there with both Lopez and Bader playing together, with Thornton and Baltima
it's
out
speed.
there.
And honestly, with Heffel and Nong, their strength is not their speed, and you want to move that game along.
Yeah, right now it's just going to be a matter of which team is able to impose its will with the personnel that's out there. Two completely different squads.
Well, Palmer, who has more speed, came out, and now Lytle is in for the Braves with 3 fouls, guarding Baltima. And Baltima's getting most of his damage done inside today, not shooting the 3 that he's very, very adept at.
Yeah, Johnny right now with an opportunity to crash the boards, get physical, and see if he can get James Lytle out of this game.
Braves are going to hold it for 1.
The other thing, Tony, if they can get the ball in, kick it to Johnny, and Johnny, he's a very adept showing the ball, one hard dribble, might be able to get the foul that way on the closeout.
Nong just committed his second, and with Lytle with 3, it would make sense to go into Johnny and try to draw a 4th on Lytle.
Yeah, 4 really good guards, the best guards possibly Indian Hill has in the program right now.
Well,
from a speed standpoint, yeah.
And call it off Grant Bright. 2 almost steals there for Grant Bright.
Yeah, Ben Bader with an opportunity. He saw it, but just couldn't get the ball.
Lee Migas now checking in there for Eric Heffel. There's Bader. He stepped out. Great hustle.
Yeah, great
Ty
effort.
Thornton.
And then you see the length of Ty Thornton.
The athleticism. Well, we saw that in the JV game. He was the best player on the floor far and away. And it's just a matter of time before he is at the varsity level as well.
Yeah, Brewer going to come in, replace Mateo Lopez.
And Heffel loses it, and good defense there by Boltzmann. I saw, was that Bader that came over to give him some help?
Yeah, Colton Brewer actually
Was it Brewer?
to the sideline. Yeah, I think that's what did it, Johnny. A nice job of riding him to the baseline. But when he saw Brewer, tried to pick it up, and ball got away from him.
Good defense there by Grant Bright and forced Bader into an off shot. Bader made, I think, his first 3 threes, and now he's missed his last 3.
Yeah, you know what he has done, though, consistently tonight is just compete. You know, I really impressed with how hard Ben Bader has played tonight. And not that he doesn't normally do it, but it's just particularly hard tonight. And, Tony, I think part of that last game against Madeira might have something to do with it. Starting to creep in on these seniors that you only got so many of them left.
Yeah, there's only a handful of games left. I think the Braves have 10. And, this is the last time playing Madeira. And, again, these two communities are so entwined in a lot of ways. And we talked about how we share a Kroger and a Walgreens and a CVS. And a lot of these kids pray together. They worship together, and they're really good friends. They want to tear each other's hearts out for 32 minutes. But afterwards, they're probably going to be at Skyline sharing some conies or B-dubs or whatever, and they see each other out, and I think there's a lot of like and mutual admiration between the two schools and the two programs. And in 8 minutes of game time, they'll be friends again. Right now, not so much.
Yeah, Tony, one thing I'd love to see more of is whether it's Selman or it's Steffen, or McDonald, whatever, I'd like to see these kids outside in the summer playing basketball together. I'll tell you what, summer basketball on blacktop, outdoors, in these two communities, which are really basketball communities, love to see a lot more of that. Just looking through at Madeira in the year so far, Tony, a lot of close losses in the league. For Madeira, a 3-point loss at home to Indian Hill.
Two threes and 2 twos for Madeira. 2 3-point losses and 2 2-point losses. So.
Yeah, at Reading by a bucket. You know, Reading's got a very good team this year.
Nice
how about
play.
the game on the road at Deer Park?
Oh, my. James Lytle missed he had some Lytle with a foul, but that'll be his 4th foul.
Yeah, you think about those 4 fouls. Those weren't bad fouls where James Lytle was really necessarily doing something wrong.
Oh, they called the foul on Solinsky.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I think. That's what they're putting on the board.
Okay. But these are fouls being created by guys going hard to the basket or challenging hard for rebounds. Indian Hill earning these fouls that they're picking up on Madeira now with 5 team fouls and a half.
Wow. Well, Bader touched every piece of the rim on those 2 shots and got them both to fall. And now Lytle's bringing the ball up.
Tony, we start to get down under 7 minutes left in this 4th quarter with an 11-point game, I believe, right? Is that 37? Madeira in a position where they might have to start
picking up the pace
a little bit.
And Solinsky gets fouled by Bader, I believe. I say that's a matchup there. Whoever's guarding Solinsky is a matchup problem for Indian Hill because Solinsky is 6'3", 200 pounds. He's strong. And you give him the ball inside against somebody who's 5'10", and he's going to abuse him. And,
Tony, I agree. Depending on which part of the floor, he gets the ball. But if Madeira can get him the ball, anywhere close to within 15 feet of the basket, I agree.
Misses his. Trey Lopez blowing right through the lineup. Nice job.
One of the things we're seeing right here, Madeira as a team on the year, a little over 59% from the line. It's another thing is you get
and your best free throw, your best guy who gets fouled more than anybody is Nong, and he's not knocking him down. The Braves have 39 points, and they have 3 guys in double figures.
Well, I tell you what, you sit here and you watch Trey Lopez, and you think about loose balls and just transition and all the athletic type situations guys get into. Trey Lopez does things that are just hard to fathom.
No, you can't coach that. It's he's got some beautiful, beautiful talent. He is so quick. He's so adept with the ball or without the ball. He causes problems everywhere.
Yeah, competitive personality
at home too,
to match it too.
The Braves are going to eat some clock. And there's a foul on Sam Solinsky.
Yeah, once again, Braves, once you get into that defense at that level, really put a lot of pressure on people, and it's hard not to foul. Ben Bader, again, setting that table. I was interested, too, with that little sequence there. Jalen Thornton with a couple of touches. One in the middle of the floor where he looked immediately opposite. And how many times do you see guys that don't immediately look opposite? Then he gets high out onto the floor, and great job to avoid a double team. Very patient, pass fake, get space. Nice bounce pass to Ben Bader.
Heffel. Coach Birch is very annoyed with Johnny Boldema for not coming out and running after Heffel. But Heffel was at the three-point line NBA range. Madeira is a little desperate now, and they're going to have to take shots like that. Migas is coming in. Coach Rockwell is substituting offense for defense every stoppage of play. Migas and Gray Palmer are the defensive stoppers, and you want to get Heffel out on defense. In some cases, Lytle, too, because of the foul trouble.
Yeah, 5:29 left, a 3-possession game. I mean, this is far from over. However, one way for, I guess, Madeira to get back in the game that would be preferable to Madeira is to get open looks at 3.
Well, and they try to do that from the beginning of the game, but the Braves' defense has been suffocating.
Yeah, Heffel, we mentioned at the top, Heffel and Nung both. Their matchup and hands up, those are very important things for the Braves right now.
Well, Heffel's hit a couple threes, but they've been from NBA range, and Nung's not getting any looks because Trey Lopez has been doing such a great job suffocating him. Let me also say something about Johnny Boldema. Johnny Boldema, similar to Nong, was kind of a one-trick pony also in that he liked to shoot a ton of threes. I think last year he was at like 53% of his shots were threes. This year he's down to 33%. You see, tonight, I'm not sure if he's hit a three or not. I think he's hit all deuces. And, he's taken advantage of his size. Nice shot.
Trey Lopez doing a great job. He's done it quite a bit this year, probing that defense, looking for opportunity, and not making a decision until late as to what he's going to do with the ball, letting the defense show him what's available. And a nice finish there by Trey Lopez.
There's a foul on Madeira.
Great job with the
They're gonna
two-handed rebound there by Jalen Thornton, being strong.
They're going to call it on Lytle. I believe that'll be his fourth.
Yeah, Lytle's done a really good job of playing with fouls tonight. Been very impressed with his ability to continue to be aggressive. And how about that chant from the Indian Hill student section asking for the inimitable Trevor Harris.
Well, it's Trevor Brant Harris.
Trevor Brant Harris to enter the ball game.
I don't think he's getting in tonight. I think Coach Rockwell would love to have him in, but I say he's Coach Rockwell's. To Coach Rockwell, what a cigar was to Red Auerbach, and he will not get in unless the Braves have the Mustangs have a substantial lead, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight.
Well, nonetheless, it happened at the game at Madeira, and it happened again tonight. The Indian Hill students remember Trevor Harris. Good take by Nung, another one.
Trevor's kind of the Rudy of the Madeira Mustangs, and a lot of people like him and root for him.
The other thing I love about Nung and Huffle, for that matter, both these guys, you can tell they just love to play the game of basketball.
Now they're senior leaders. They play hard. They're very intelligent kids and very intelligent players. And they both grown. I mean, you've seen this, Brian, for years, how kids grow from sophomore year to junior year to senior year, and they have more equity in the team. This is their team. Lytle the same way. They're leaders, and regardless of the result for Madeira tonight, I mean, these guys are going to be leaders in their communities and in their schools, and basketball experience, playing for great coaches like Coach Birch and Coach Rockwell, it only helps the rest of your life.
Yeah, a great group of 30 kids or whatever it is out on the floor tonight.
There's Lytle bringing it up.
Just looking at some of the royalty here.
Now the Braves got their pace their way, and they've taken advantage of it. And
and the other thing, Tony, not a lot of bad shots tonight from the Braves. They've made really good decisions. Hey, there have been times when they can speed things up, and there have been times when they work to get a great shot.
Well, when you hit 7 threes in the first half, you force the defense to come out on you, and that opens up the middle.
Yeah.
And the Braves have done a terrific job with that.
It's funny. We talk about that 7 threes in the first half, but yet at the half, a fairly close game. Really, this thing started to open up as the Braves started to get in transition.
4-point game at halftime.
Yep.
No, you're right. No, but the Braves players, at least tonight, they all know their roles, and they've all played them very, very well. Heffel coming out on defense. There's Trey. Wow. And Nong gets fouled there by Mateo Lopez.
So Nong takes it away from one brother Lopez at one end and then runs over to the other one. It's a far end. Now, of course, Steven's older brother,
Sammy.
Great player in his own right.
Sammy Nong was a little bit shorter than Steven, but also a very adept outside shooter.
How about that? Nothing but nylon, Tony.
Well, watch how deep he holds the ball in his palm. He's got to move it up the hand a little bit and use that backspin that he has is just textbook. I mean, if you looked at Google how to shoot a three, the way he shoots it is absolutely perfect. The free throws, not so much.
Tony, I think you just opened the door to something.
There it is.
Have you, in fact, Googled how to shoot a three? That's a very nerdy thing for you to admit to, my man.
If you did,
If you did. I'm not saying you did.
I can't shoot a three. Again, we talked about the Braves, everybody knowing their role. I knew my role when I was in high school. Mine was to help the team grade point average, and I did a really good job. I helped out with that. But
Braves going to get Jalen Thornton back into the game. Wyatt Walk's going to check in here. Mateo Lopez with good minutes tonight for the Braves.
He's a good player, and he's going to be a very important part next year with Ben Bader leaving. There's going to be room there for another guard, and Mateo Lopez is certainly a great candidate for it. Josh
Young and Trey Lopez checking out. 3.5 minutes left in this one. Braves by 12.
Mateo Lopez hits them both. Who's coming out? Oh, they're asking who the foul was on.
Tony, I know you have a history.
Excuse me, James Lytle just fouled out for Madeira.
James Lytle fouling out.
It's a shame I didn't get a chance to show. That kid's right-handed, James Lytle is.
Yes.
But if you watch him play, you would swear he's left-handed. He uses his left so well. That's a lost art.
James Lytle with his final minutes here at Indian Hill High School.
Solinsky with the rebound. Boy, just Finke with the rebound now, and Braves ball.
Tony, I know you had a chance to work for the Cincinnati Reds decades ago. Decades and decades ago. This week it was announced Marty Brenneman will make his swan song this year, 2019, his final year calling Reds games.
Yeah, it's what a great era that was. He's as consummate a professional as there ever has been in broadcasting.
Do you have any Marty Brenneman stories that you can share?
Not that I can share. But I knew Marty when he had his hair sandblasted, and he always had that poofy look.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah. Yeah, when he shaved it down, that was a big day. I mean, I'm sure that's one of those things. It's like the self-adhesive postage stamp. Why didn't that happen years and years earlier? But, no, a great one. I mean, Tony, you think about that, all the years you've been running errands. You've been, driving for ice cream at Grader's. You've been going to Kroger. You've been doing whatever, driving the kids to a game, whatever. Marty Brenneman on the radio. It's going to be weird not having him at some point, but we got this year.
Yep. Let's savor it and enjoy it.
Speaking of which, I see Bill Cunningham is sitting across. Now, will you feel the same when Bill Cunningham decides to hang it up?
Is he still on the air? Now, was he the last Deer Park resident that played for Deer Park?
No, Jordan Yelling. Jordan Yelling is the answer to that trivia question.
You're right.
And Jordan Yelling was a heck of an athlete.
Yes,
Love
he was.
Jordan Yelling.
He didn't have a lot of guys to play with, but he was very good. I'm with you. Whoa. Well, that was from the left refreshment stand. And you can see what Non can do unless you put a body on him. And when Non crosses half court, he's within range. Now look where Stephen Nong sets up here. That's beyond NBA range. Just effortless. The kid's a great shooter, but the Braves have done a wonderful job not giving him opportunities tonight, and that's really been part of the game. Stephen Nong leads Madeira in scoring, and tonight he has 14, but most of those have been inside. They have not given him the opportunity to shoot from the outside. Nong has 14, and Heffel has 14, and that's 28 of the 38 for Madeira. The Braves have done a really, really nice job making Madeira earn everything, and It's shown off on the scoreboard now with a 10-point lead with just 2:21 left.
Yeah, Nong with 14, which is his average. Heffel with 14.
Just a hair above.
A little bit above his average, but both of them tremendous shooters. Both shooting
that's what I'm talking
for
about.
The season over 50% from the floor.
I was saying, some of these other guys have got to be more like alley cats, and they've got to get involved and scratch and claw and make major contributions, and they're capable. I'm talking about here from Madeira. Indian Hill's done a magnificent job, all the players. Well, Trey's not going to give it up to his brother, is he?
No, and Trey Lopez, surprisingly, after going 6 of 7 the other night against West Claremont, not looking to get to the free throw line, instead challenging at the rim.
Well, his brother was open on the side, and he didn't give it to him. But it was anybody else, I think he would have.
Yeah.
Solinsky. Now, Solinsky hits a three.
Right now, these Indian Hill guards who shot it so well the other night against West Claremont, don't be afraid to go to the line. They're in the double bonus.
Great pass by Ben Bader. Wow. Well, there have been a lot of great efforts for Indian Hill tonight, but
Ben Bader's been about as good as it gets tonight.
Did you see that? One Lopez holding the other one back?
I think the thinking there, Mateo Lopez looking at Trey like, what are you doing? I think the thinking was that Mateo Lopez was going to have a hard time once he got the ball, staying in bounds.
Well,
and Trey, with the presence of mind to grab the jersey,
I assume he didn't want his brother to get hurt.
Yeah, I think possession means more than physical harm right now for Trey Lopez.
Stephen Nong.
Well, I tell you what, Stephen Nong.
Now
they've been terrific tonight.
He's his parents are from Burma. Might have been a travel ahead of time. Nope. They did call travel. I call Stephen Nong the Burmese bomber. Oh, did you see that? Eric Heffel tried to set a pick there. Nong.
Hinkie, another one right now that has done a great job getting to the basket tonight. Even if the finishes haven't always come, he's done a great job getting there. And we talk about not being afraid to get to the line. Who's the guy that's strong? Don't get tied up. Get to the line. Jalen Thornton, the guy that plays fewer basketball games than any of these people.
But look at those shoulders and those arms. I mean, honestly, he could be a model for a baking soda box. He's so strong and he's so tough. And as you said, he's such a great teammate.
Yeah, and he's smart. I love that. Right now, it's about making free throws. Did a great job. Great job tonight. And I give these Indian Hill perimeter defenders credit for being in the area. I know Nong and Huffle scored a ton, but it could have been worse. And these guys had the presence to always be in the area and contest.
Wow.
One thing talking about Jalen Thornton over the past week, a very interesting group of people that he's guarded. On Tuesday night against West Claremont, he guarded a 6'10 post player. Johnny Baltimore did a great job against that guy, by the way. And the previous Tuesday, here at home, Jalen was the guy that guarded Mark Wise.
Huh. Wow.
So the Braves not afraid to use his strength and athleticism a lot of different ways.
He is an athlete.
Ben Bader's saying, I'll go to the line. You want to give me 2 free throws, I'll take them.
Well, Johnny Baltimore has 16 points tonight, and almost all of them were in the paint. Trey Lopez has 16 points tonight.
Yeah, Tony, the difference in that, you're going to make, you're going to miss. Johnny Baltimore misses close to the basket. Indian Hill gets down and makes Madeira run half-court offense. Johnny Baltimore misses in the corner. Not necessarily against Madeira, but Madeira or most teams,
it's going to be a
run out.
Yep.
And I just love what he did tonight, and I think it's no surprise or coincidence the Braves have an 11-point lead here with less than 30 seconds left.
Wyatt Quinton in for the Braves, or for Madeira, and he was open on the wing, but Heffel didn't see him. Wyatt Quinton's a very good three-point shooter for Madeira, number 21. An alley-oop. Nong misses. Nong misses again. There he is.
Padding those rebounding stats. Well, Tony.
Madeira calls timeout.
Yep. With 13 left, what's next for Madeira?
Madeira goes to Goshen, a team that Indian Hill beat by 29, I believe, in Indiana.
Have you guys gone out there? Knightstown, Indiana?
You told me about how wonderful it was.
Well, if they ask you to go, if somebody asks you to go out to Knightstown and play on the court, not where Milan actually played, but where the movie Hoosiers was filmed, keep this in mind.
But you told me it was an easy drive.
Yeah, keep this in mind. You pass Milan about 45 minutes into a 2-hour drive, but you get about 40 miles on two-lane highway going 55 miles an hour against oncoming traffic. And when the kids get there, none of the kids know what it is. And then the kids get in, and the floor is about 20 feet shorter than the normal floor. And on the sidelines, you've got a wall about a foot away from the sideline that the kids are playing up against. So it's kind of a indoor soccer, maybe hockey type of a feel to it. But the boys were all over the floor. The good news is the kids were safe during the game, and everybody made it home safely. And we had 50-degree temperatures.
Stephen Nong's coming out. He played very, very well at a rough game. What a tough competitor. What a great kid. Grant Bright coming back in now to replace him. And it's been a rough night for Madeira. Indian Hill played well. They outplayed Madeira and got contributions from a lot of players. 3 guys in double figures, but Mateo Lopez gave him some valuable minutes, and Wyatt Walks played really well, very heady. You said Colton Brewer gave him they got a lot of minutes, and without Amari in there, they had other guys step up.
Oh my goodness. What a catch and a fade. Love it.
Very athletic. Well, the final score, Indian Hill 55, Madeira 45. Johnny Baltimore with 16 points. Trey Lopez with 16 points, leading the Braves, and Ben Bader with 12 points.
Tony, it was a pleasure. 2 community schools, 2 groups of kids have known each other quite a while, competing and doing a good job. I mean, a lot of good basketball, a lot of things to be positive about tonight for both squads. I know, 10-point game isn't the norm. It's not what you expected, but both squads, I think came out, did some great things. Individual efforts on the Madeira side.
Well,
Stephen Nong.
Yeah,
wow.
They're good players on both sides. I think the difference was that the Indian Hill, not the stars, they made major contributions, really, really solid contributions, played great defense. The defense was great. Nong could not get open threes, and neither could Huffle. They were guarding the shooters. They did a great job with that. And honestly, Madeira's without Nong and Huffle, the other guys unfortunately did not play that well, and the Braves made that happen. And it was the Braves won, and deservedly so. They win by 10. Again, most of the games in this series have been really, really close. The only one that hasn't been close that I can remember the last 3 or 4 years was last year at Madeira. Madeira won by 20.
Yeah.
And Nong was 5 for 6 from threes. It seemed like he was 8 for 9. I mean, he was throwing up from the popcorn stand. I mean, whoever he threw, he could have thrown it behind his back, it would have gone in. This year, the Braves weren't going to allow him to get open shots, and they really, really did a nice job trying to suffocate that on him.
Well, and it's a little easier when you don't have Kyle driving the lanes and Jack standing under the bucket and, Adam doing what he did, Mark Manfredi. I mean, it's a different team. And, you talked about it. The roles are different. For Johnny this year, standing out with uncontested shots because of Marco or Colin or whatever the case may be. It's just everybody. These are guys that have played a lot of minutes and done a lot of great stuff. But when the role changes, I mean, it's an adjustment to be sure. Madeira's doing a nice job of continuing to make those adjustments. Same thing with Indian Hill. Tony, this is the first game, though, that I can remember where for a sustained period of time, Indian Hill was able to dictate tempo. And, they really had that stretch
and that was
in
a
the
difference.
third quarter that really they were able for a prolonged period of time to get that tempo where they wanted it without Madeira putting a stop to it.
Well, when you have the Lopez boys and you have Ty Thornton and to a certain extent Ben Bader and Wyatt Walk, you've got speed guys, and you can move the game. You can really run and press teams and force. You saw in the second half, I'm not sure how much he came out at all, was Cameron Finke.
Yeah.
He was bringing the ball up under some pressure almost the whole game, and finally Lytle said, "Hey, I'll take it up," and he started bringing it up because the Lopez boys and Wyatt Walks were pressuring Finke the whole game, and he's the only true point guard on Madeira. So the Braves did a great job scouting and really did a nice job trying to cut off what was important to Madeira.
Yeah, if pace of play was the important difference tonight, stats out the window. The two guys I just, eyeball, both Ben Bader and Trey Lopez pushing the ball up the floor, really the difference here.
Yep, I agree. So the Braves get another W and try to make it here competitive in the standings. Wyoming and Deer Park Wyoming came into tonight 6-0 in the league. Deer Park 6-1, and the Braves now are 5-3. I heard that Deer Park is the only school in the state that has two players that can get in-state tuition next year, not in Ohio. So I think it's a marvelous thing that they do, and they should be commended for it. And OHSAA, I think, applauds that as well. All right,
Tony, with that, I think I bid you well. Having a terrific Friday night. Madeira off tomorrow?
Madeira is off.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and to all those folks in Madeira, it was fun. It was this kind of the peace broadcast, if you will, between the two communities. But enjoyed this. Glad to have you back here, and I understand your loyalties. You got to be there when Trev's playing and Madeira's playing, but it's great to have you back.
No, I root for both schools. And tonight I close my eyes. But the final score tonight, Indian Hill 55, Madeira 45. Thanks for joining us. This is Tony Harris for Brian Shaw. Good night and good basketball.
Exclusive coverage of tonight's game on the Indian Hill Television Network has been a copyrighted presentation of the Indian Hill High School Video Department.